Let's continue our discussion of the Kybalion. So this time I'm actually going to do a double because the topics themselves are rather kind of short, sweet, to the point-ish, although I tried to stretch them out as much as I could. So we're going to be going over the second and third principles, which is that of correspondence and vibration. As you can tell, I've taken some notes, and I even started doing my annotations and butcherings inside the books, inside the book itself, which is something that you guys know I like to do. So anyway, before we get started, um, you know, just to let you guys know as a reminder, this is the stuff, the way that I interpret it, the way that I think about it when I read it and when I digest it. Could it be totally different than you or someone else who might know more than me? Yes, but that's the point of the comment section and why I have an email listed down there, because this is all a conversation. This is all, a back and forth. I teach you something, you guys teach me something. So, it's very symbiotic. Yeah. So, anyway, we're gonna get started with the notes here and whatnot. Just an FYI, I haven't had coffee in like 2 weeks plus, and it's annoying me. Um, Maybe I'll get into why about that later on, or maybe I'll just talk about that on the community page or something. Maybe even on my in my Facebook group. But I don't know. Anyway, if you want to know why I haven't had coffee, ask down in the comments. So, the principle of correspondence. So it's basically talking about as above, so below. Anything that's in the microverse is also reflected and has a counterpart in the macroverse. Big and small, they all equal out, right? So, there's no such thing as coincidence. Everything has counterparts and that are on different planes. So things that are on the physical plane have a counterpart on the mental plane. Things that are on the mental plane have a counterpart on the astral plane. You guys kind of get that point. So, when I first read this on correspondence, I was like, oh, yeah, the as above, so below stuff. But then it got a lot deeper with the different planes of existence being the physical, mental, and astral. And as you go higher in from physical to astral, it raises itself in vibration and is a little bit more obscure. Now, what the book does say is that at the very lowest, there's undifferentiated matter, which is like quarks and stuff like that. So first you have strings, then you have quarks, then you have atoms, then you have molecules, then you have, and that's now we're getting into the physical plane stuff. Then you have the mental plane, then you have the astral plane, and then spirit, which is more undefined, is above that. So you can kind of think of that as Malkuth down to the bottom of the tree of life, all the way up to the top, and then you have Ein Sof Or. And as you go up, the less physical and the less definable it gets. So it's kind of like that. So let's see. So there's 7 minor physical planes and 7 minor mental planes. So it basically takes physical, mental, and astral, and it breaks them down. And did I butcher those a little bit? Yes, I did. So, in the physical planes, right, you have 7 smaller differentiations. There's the plane of matter, A, which is solid, liquid, and gas. The plane of matter, B, which is subatomic particles. You have the plane of matter, C, which is strings. Now, if you notice, it kind of goes downwards in scale, right? Then you have the plane of ethereal substance, which is kind of hard to define that, but I think it's something that science hasn't really defined, so they just kind of talk about it obscurely. Then you have the plane of energy A, which is pure energy, such as if you've ever been in like ninth grade science, which did, like I taught that like twice. There's the different forms of energy such as elastic, gravity, heat, light, magnetism, and potential energy. I know I'm missing 1 or 2 of those, but you guys get the gist. Then the plane of energy B is mental and psychic energy. At least that's what I was able to interpret it as, because it's kind of, you can equate it with electrical energy, but it's a little bit more obscure than that because it's a living kind of thing. And then the plane of energy C is more godlike energy. It's something that we don't exactly define or understand because that's not us, but it is a thing of energy, a description of energy that is beyond our current understanding. but it is there according to the Kybalion here, right? Then, so that's on the physical plane, right? Then, when we move on to the mental plane, there are also subdivisions for the mental plane. You have the plane of mineral mind, then the plane of elemental mind A, which is a mix of mineral and plant minds, kind of beings. Then you have the plane of plant mind, which is all plants. Then you have the plane of elemental mind B, which is beings that are kind of plants and animals mixed up. Kind of, they're right in the middle there, so it's a little bit of a gray area, kind of. Then you have the plane of animal mind, which is all animals. Then you have the plane of elemental mind C, which is beings that are kind of human, kind of animal. And then you have the plane of human mind. And you got to think, how can we apply this with our magic? Well, if we're talking about the different planes of existence, these are the planes that through rituals and things we can interact with these different beings to learn things from them, or to ask for their assistance, or even to travel and explore. You know, there's a lot of people that are very good at traveling to different planes, or even astral traveling to find information and whatnot. There's even been government studies and documents that have been released. I bet you guys all know about this, where they have studied this phenomena of being able to travel different planes, at least for like remote viewing and stuff, because they would could do this on the astral plane, because the astral plane has what correspondences with the physical plane. So if they viewed something on the astral plane, it's going to correspond with something on the physical plane. The astral plane is kind of just the membrane through which they traveled to gain information. So us practicing, magic, when we work with different beings, it's kind of a good idea to get a grasp of what planes our intention is set to go and to visit these different beings, or if we are off traveling and whatnot, what things we are going to find there. It kind of gives you a roadmap, and almost like one of those travel books of being able to tell you, hey, if you go here, this is what you might find. That's a mouthful right there. So it's a continuum going from minerals to plants to animals to humans, with different planes in between those, where there's a gray area depending on what those beings kind of are classified as life is a continuum in itself. Hopefully I didn't lose too many of you guys there, but hey, let me know if you kind of got the gist eventually down in the comments there. Now, let's see. What else did I have in my notes here? So, the other thing with correspondence that I would like to throw in there, because it's the as above, so below, and everything on this plane has a correspondence on that plane, is how you can play with it with your magic, right? So if we're trying to do something on the bigger scale, we got to do something on the smaller scale, which is why psychodrama and the little rituals that we do, or the big rituals, depending on how you want to do them, how those kind of play out when we work with our ritual space, like in front of an altar, which I have here, so I have another one upstairs, and so on and so forth. So if we want to make something happen on the big scale, we got to do something on the smaller scale. If we work on something in the mental plane, it will eventually, depending on how much form and energy we give it, manifest itself out on the physical plane, right? Yeah. So let's move on to part 2, which is really principle number 3, which is vibration. It says that every state of matter vibrates at a given level, which explains things like temperature and the state of matter from solid to liquid to gas, right? Different planes of existence vibrate on different levels too, from Ein Sof Ur all the way down to Malkuth, from the Tree of Life. The idea of vibrating could allude to the speed and interactions and ebb and flow of particles. This can change everything from states of matter to patterns of thought, and can therefore influence things, people, and events. So what we want to do what we try to do when we work magic is actually change the quote vibration of the energy around us to what we want it to be, and therefore can influence other things, like a domino effect. My vibration changes, I change the vibration of something that I'm trying to influence, and it's just a domino from inside of me out there until my until that gold domino, for lack of a better term, falls over. This one's a lot easier to talk about, isn't it? Yeah. So everything from single particles all the way to the all vibrate. Magic means changing the vibrations and states of things from what they are into what we want them to be, and therefore changing circumstances and situations in our favor. Now, if I go over to the book there, and I believe I butchered something when I went over to vibrations. Yep, basically different degrees of vibrations, and this the idea of vibrations here kind of goes along with quantum theory, where everything is vibrations. So quantum theory asserts that, like, I'm made of matter, right? Matter, or like, this, right? You break this down, you got cells. You break those down, you got molecules. You break those down, you got atoms. You break those down, you get some atomic particles. You break those down, you got quarks. You break those down, you get strings. And strings are vibrating forms of energy. Therefore, everything is mostly empty space, and everything is energy. So I take advantage of that through the faculties that I have, changing my energy to change something else, and through my intention and everything, I change it to what I want rather than what it is. And that, in effect, is what magic is, for lack of a better term. Ooh, that second one was so much easier to talk about. There's a lot to digest in the Kybalion, and it can get very wordy, as you've seen, but it is a very influential, I believe, and a very, very interesting book. I think anybody that wants to kind of understand magic from a fundamental level and a philosophical level even would really, really like to get their hands on this. And if you want to go kind of more technical with it, you can check out the gray book back there, which, yeah, it's over there, which is Magical Mechanics, which kind of takes the ideas comparatively, right? This is more philosophical. Magical Mechanics is kind of more practical for what kinds of things, how magic works in our physical reality, physical and mental. But that's me tooting my own horn. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if you guys laughed when I was trying to digest those different planes of existence, and any other questions, comments, complaints, concerns, and issues you might have. Good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Movement, which is an update and expansion upon Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of Magical Theater and Magical Mechanics, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.